Hey, howdy from snowy southern Appalachia. We are in the middle of Winter Storm Heather right now, and it's windy, and it's been snowing all day. So naturally, I went outside and decided to talk at my phone. So here we go. Today, I thought I would do the classic post-YouTube or post-trail video about my favorites from the Appalachian Trail. So it's going to be kind of rapid fire. I'll explain them as I go, but today we're going to talk about some of my favorite things, places, and hacks, life hacks from the Appalachian Trail. So to start it off, towns, favorite trail towns. Number one, I have to give to Franklin, North Carolina, and that's somewhat nostalgic. You'll see that some of my memories of these places I have a soft spot for because they were kind of earlier in trail and they helped me learn about the community. They helped me feel at home in the community, and they really impacted the way that I settled into the trail. So I've got some favorites that are kind of specifically due to that. And that's what Franklin is for me. Franklin was my first trail town. And we ended up getting a storm while we were there. So we took an extra day, which was unexpected. I slept on a friend's hotel room floor for the first time there because of that unexpected stay. Good food. We had some people come out that are friends of ours that we met there, so we got to kind of have a peek of our own community there again. Anyway, just a great little town, good outfitters, everything was really nice and walkable, which is important. And there was also a church that did free breakfast one of the mornings, so that was, of course, an added benefit. Another trail town I really enjoyed and have super great memories of is Rangeley in Maine, opposite end of the trail. And I just remember really loving it. Again, super walkable. Had a decent outfitters, all things considered, probably not the greatest if you're really needing gear there. But they had, enough to get by. They had fuel and the essentials that we needed for food. We got maple everything. I had maple ice cream with Barbie sprinkles on it. I remember there's a beautiful pond right next to the town. It's just a great little spot, and super easy to get into off of trail. As far as hostels go, again, the nostalgia from the beginning. My very first hostel, Above the Clouds, was one of my absolute favorites. We got in there for also our first rainy day, which might add to that in my feelings about that hostel, because it was just so nice to get in, warm, dry, clean. I ended up getting a semi-private cabin up on the hill, and that was super nice and super warm and toasty. They had little personal heaters in there that were doing an amazing job. So Above the Clouds was great. We played games and had a fire going, and yeah, it was just wonderful. And they brought in, we could order barbecue from there, from a local place. So that was great. I also super enjoyed Woods Hole, which is talked about a lot. They've got the whole farm to table thing going on, and they're doing it so well. That place has so much history with the Appalachian Trail and just being a hostel for as long as it has been. Neville has been running it. It's in her family, and she's doing an incredible job. The food was the best hostel food I ate anywhere. It was all made in-house, almost entirely farm to table from their land. They, in fact, made a point to point out the food that you were eating that was not grown on site or made on site, because that is how much of it was sourced from their place. And then another great hostel is the Maine Roadhouse. And that one was just amazing. It just had great vibes. At that point in the trail, we were running across southbounders, and so it was super fun because of that. It was kind of a crossing of worlds. There were people there who were in different phases of their hikes. There were lashers there, flip-floppers. Great place, awesome accommodations. The bunk room was really fun. And they also had onesies that you could wear as your town clothes, and we made full advantage of that. It is so cold, I'm gonna have to go back and forth with my hands because they're freezing. I gotta warm them up on my cup. Next favorite is food. I'm gonna try and hide from the wind a little bit. This one's kind of a boring answer, but just pizza. Pizza was the best way to actually fill up, which is a hard thing to do on the Appalachian Trail, and get in a bunch of calories in a really delicious way. So honestly, pizza was just my absolute favorite for town eating. Aside from that, we absolutely tore up buffets. The whole premise of a buffet is that they make money on people not eating as much as you think you're going to, and they definitely lose money on thru hikers. Next up, trail magic. Now, my tramily was lucky in that we made an amazing friendship with a trail angel named Queen Diva, who was out there going up the trail along with all of the northbounders, and we got to cross paths with her multiple times. She helped house us in New Jersey so that we could take time off to go into New York City for a while. She would communicate with us and ask us what we wanted. She was just amazing. I'm still in contact with her. Beautiful person, and she could make some really good food on trail. Aside from her, the trail magic that really stands out was the stuff that was homemade or just being made on site, not the to-go stuff. And all this to be said, all trail magic was appreciated. But if you're asking my favorites, it's the homemade stuff. And I will specify homemade things that are not burgers and hot dogs. We got a lot of those and we appreciate them. And that's, you can kind of count on getting those anywhere. It was the 3-bean soup with cornbread and chili and walking tacos, those sort of hot foods that are made fresh that, oh my gosh, were so delicious. Aside from that, some personal favorites of mine included cheerwine. Being a North Carolina girl, I was so excited when I could find cheerwine, and every time you found it, there was some sort of connection that the person had to North Carolina, so that was always really fun. And aside from that, it was simple luxuries for trail magic, like having a chair that you could sit down in and water that you could refill your bottles with that was already filtered. So simple pleasures, but they go a long way when you're hiking a long distance trail like that. My favorite gear items. I loved all of my gear. There's not much of it that I would say no to again. But I really loved my bear can, which is one of those kind of controversial things. Some people love them, some people think they're not worth it. I loved mine. I didn't mind carrying the weight. I loved how easy it was to use and how easy it made my life at the end of the day when I needed to be putting up my food. Also, after you get out of Georgia and North Carolina, your picnic tables at campsites disappear. So it was really nice to have the bear can to sit on. I sat on it regularly and had myself a nice little stool, which was great. And if I was ever worried about it, also, I could put things in my bear can, like electronics that I wanted to make sure didn't get wet, because that was a resource that I could count on to always be waterproof. So that was really nice as well. I also loved my Jolly Gear shirt. I wore that. I still wear that so regularly. It's like a point of comfort for me at this point. With the hood and the ponytail hole, they get a lot of hype, and in my strong opinion, it's worth it. I also really liked my Light Heart Gear fleece. That's another one that I still just wear regularly in life. Amazing, stood the test of time, so cozy and warm, and functional. Yeah, Loved that thing. My layers were really important to me and I got really attached to them, clearly. And then my other favorite piece of gear was my fanny pack. Again, with making life easier, if I needed to run in somewhere or if I wanted to drop my pack and I needed to go dig a cat hole or something, my fanny pack stayed on me. So I didn't have to worry about my most important personal items. It's all important when you're out there, but I didn't have to worry about my wallet, my phone, you know, my insurance card, you know, that sort of stuff that is really hard to replace. I knew that I had all of my vital things with me at any point, and I didn't have to worry about it. So that was great. And it also just added the storage space that I had available to me while I was walking. I had that whole pouch to put things in, because that was one of the things I found was really important, was having things accessible while in motion. And so the fanny pack really added to that, having those pockets there for easy access. And finally, my favorite life hacks that I got from the Appalachian Trail. One of them is a food item that I carried that really just added a lot to my meals. The meals get pretty repetitive, especially by the end. And if you're like me, I was looking to mix things up or find ways of changing it so that mealtime was still exciting and I wasn't getting tired of all of the foods and all of the north sides that I had been eating for 2,000 miles. And one of the ways that I did that was by taking condiments. And yes, you can jack, you know, mayonnaise, mustard, those sort of condiments from restaurants when you're in them in town. But my personal favorite, I had to buy it, but that's okay, was tomato paste. I always had tomato paste in my bear can, and I would add that to my meals, and it was just a little bit, but it just added so much. And if I didn't use it every time, so the times that I used it, it really made the meal feel like it was different than, you know, the 1,700 other times I'd had it. Another one of my favorite life hacks is using my trekking poles and a hair tie as a phone tripod. It's super simple. I'm not going to go super into detail for it because I have another video where I talk about it. So if you want to learn about how to use those two gear items as a tripod or just like a mount for your phone to stage pictures or vlogging, what have you, you can check that out in my video about how I vlogged the AT. I will link that below in the description. And then my other kind of favorite little hack was another DIY item that I made for trail, and that was a reflective food pouch for keeping my food warm, especially in the colder times. Your food, while you wait for it to hydrate, cools off a lot. And so I had a pouch that I made out of actually a car windshade or car sunshade, and it kept my food nice and warm while it was rehydrating and didn't let it cool off. So that was always super nice too. It guaranteed that I had a hot meal every time I was eating dinner, and I super appreciated that. That warmth physically and emotionally went a very long way. And again, I talked about that in other videos. I talked about it in my DIY gear video, and I also have a tutorial on how I made it, both of which I will link below. All right, y'all, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for coming along. This was kind of a lighter video. I just wanted to kind of rapid fire those favorites so that maybe some other thru hikers in maybe the class of 2024 or others can look at them and have some things to be excited about, and maybe kind of test your brain on thinking creatively about gear and life hacks that you can take out there. So let me know what y'all's favorites about the AT are, and any other life hacks you have for backpacking and thru hiking, because man, I love that stuff. I love all the multi-purpose gear and using the things that you have in creative ways. So all right, y'all, I hope you are staying warm. My fingers are so cold, I think they're gonna fall off. So I'm gonna go inside. All right, y'all, until next time, enjoy and stay warm.